Okay, this is American Wag. There's Mark coming into screen. And here's Mike coming into screen. So we've talked a little bit about politics, Democrats, and we talk a little bit about video games and the life of the mind. But both of us agree that you got to get outside.
Yeah.
And, you know, this morning I went on a tour of Dogtown. And I cut a video several weeks ago in anticipation of that. And one of the cool things that has happened, coming out of Southern California culture, is that my generation were really, our parents said, go outside and play.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yeah.
And I had like a whole square mile from Crenshaw to Adams to Jefferson to La Brea.
Yeah.
And that was, any way I could go in that box was cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes we went a little bit east.
Yeah.
But, you know, especially to roll down Adams. From the top of Adams down to Crenshaw, man, it's a wild skateboard ride.
Yep.
And if you're really crazy, you go down Arlington doubles. And that was insane. But I think our heroes were Bruce Lee and Evel Knievel. And we were rethinking what adventure meant. None of us, you know, growing up in the 60s as kids in elementary school, we had Muhammad Ali, but Bruce Lee took over. None of us played cowboys and Indians. I mean, we had rope and we did, you know, zip line stuff with the handlebars inverted on a pulley down from the telephone pole. Which were just crazy, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, the king-size sheet umbrellas off the garage roof. But Evel Knievel and the guy who invented the dune buggies, Bricklin, and the dirt bikes, that was a brand new everything. And skateboards with the urethane wheels and Cadillac wheels and Stoners came out. Yeah. It was a brand new kind of crazy stuff that scared our parents to death. But we would get a milk crate and a board and we would jump our bikes.
Yeah.
And you know, we converted our Stingrays to dirt bikes.
Yep, to BMX bikes.
And it was crazy. It was a crazy world. You put a 10-speed seat on it instead. And man, we embraced risk. You know, today kids ride with helmets, but they do even more insane stuff than we were doing. But it was something to grow up in that 70s.
Yeah.
When, you know, people were doing dragsters and Big Daddy Don Garlits and people were breaking speed records and muscle cars were still around. It was a wild
muscle
time.
cars are around today.
Well, now, but they took a break in the 80s.
Yeah, they took a break in the 80s and 90s. We had a brief moment of sanity before they came back.
No, I don't know. Safety, but now it's great. I mean, a 500 horsepower car now you can get.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When did you first ride a motorcycle? What was it like?
It was kind of amazing. I rode a motorcycle. It was in college. I had been, you know, riding bicycles for a long time, and we got a little motorcycle to help train our bicycle team. And you know, I took it out. And
bicycle team?
Yeah, bicycle racing team.
Oh, okay.
Like we had a real team with jerseys with our sponsor and all this sort of stuff. In fact, I have one of the jerseys upstairs someplace.
Wow. Was this BMX?
No, like real bicycle
road
bikes. Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, and the thing with it wasn't very fast. It was a little faster than the bicycles were. But the thing about it was like you have this amazing sense of, you know, and bicycling does it as well, right? You have this sense of being present in a place, you know, and you have a sense of your velocity that you don't remotely have in a car. I mean, I just, you know, was driving really ridiculously fast in our car, and I still don't get that sense of velocity that you get when you're out on a motorcycle going 80 on the freeway. Yeah. And you know, and so it's interesting, and I think, but what I like about motorcycles, and I think I was thinking about why, you know, why I still ride them, right? It's really three things, and it's one is there's a great chapter in Sebastian Junger's book about Afghanistan where he talks about the zen of not fucking up, and how, you know, he talks about specifically about when these guys would go out in combat patrols in the Korangal, right? It matters how you tie your shoes.
Yes.
It matters how you put your gear on. It matters how you put your pants on, because if you have to stop and take a leak, right, I need to be able to do it quickly and not hang people out for a really long time.
Right.
I need to not have my shoes come untied. I need my gear not to need to be adjusted. Right. And in the world we live in, there's almost nothing that matters in that sort of a way.
Right. I mean, as you're saying that, it's reminding me of also during the 70s, my dad had a 68 VW bus. And we take that 46 horsepower thing, packed full of kids, and we'd go up to Angeles Crest, and we'd go hiking.
Yeah.
But we'd also backpack and camp. And it's like, do I bring this big skillet so I can cook some bacon, or that's kind of heavy because I'm gonna have to pack it in. And
so I bring this little aluminum thing and go up and chop the bacon up or something like that. Yeah,
it was really something.
All that backpacking. You know, one of the reasons I used to climb was that, and I explained it to somebody once. I said, look, you can't talk your way out of things on the rock. The rock doesn't give a shit.
Right.
And and so when you ride a motorcycle, when I ride a motorcycle, I'm very aware that everything I do matters. It matters where I'm positioned in the lane.
Yes.
It matters how I put my gear on. It matters that I cleaned my visor. It matters that I did a check on the motorcycle before I got on it.
Yeah.
Because if things turn to shit, it's not fun on a motorcycle.
Yeah. You really have skin in that game.
You do, and that goes to
or on the road.
On the road, yeah. And that goes next to the thing of risk. And I think that one of the things about our society that's really deeply flawed is that we work unbelievably hard to isolate everybody from any risk whatsoever. I never want anything bad to happen to anybody. Ever. Like, I don't want one person to have a bad thing happen to them.
Right.
And in return, we'll do things like there's a park across the street and there's a playground that's part of the park. And it used to have this amazing play structure that was probably close to 20 feet tall. And the kids, all the neighborhood kids, were all over that thing all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And they rebuilt it, and there's this new play structure that's all plastic with soft round corners.
Yes.
And nothing's more than 4.5 feet high. Yeah. And, it's super padded.
I can remember at one point, the Museum of Science and Industry in Exposition Park just made, in their main exhibit hall, this gigantic play structure.
Oh, I remember that.
And it was huge.
Yeah.
It was, they had cargo nets and everything, and it was just the most gigantic, beautiful thing. And I was just like, that was better than any park.
That's right.
And we had rocket ships.
That's
Remember
right.
rocket ships?
We still have one. We have Rocket Ship Park up at the top of the hill here.
Okay.
And which got preserved by some historic preservationists because they wanted to take it out because it was too tall and dangerous.
Right.
But today, if you go to the park, the only people playing on the play equipment are little teeny kids.
Yeah.
And so we've made things safe, and we give people, we sort of narrow people's opportunities to do things and take risks.
We had at I guess it's called Rancho Park. We called it Dorsey Park, next to Dorsey High School, with the pool there. We had an asphalt pyramid with a concrete slide. And we would play King of the Hill.
Oh my God!
On a 20
and people get knocked off roll down the asphalt.
And
yeah, I bet.
And we had really big swings.
So
the swings are not anywhere.
No, they're not.
They're
not nearly as big.
Now the swings are. We used to do a backflip.
Everything's for little kids.
Yeah.
And so part of the thing about motorcycling is that I'm living in a moment of risk. And every time I go someplace, right, I've embraced some risk. I've solved the problems. I've conquered it.
Yes.
And that part of my brain that wants to deal with risk in the world is sort of grown and happy.
Yeah.
And you learn to make judgment about doing stupid things, and you learn rubrics for kind of keeping yourself out of trouble.
And sometimes, there are things where you should be able to learn from your mistakes. Motorcycling is a big jump because, I had a mini bike.
Yeah.
So I saved $1 a day for
over
the whole summer.
Yeah.
And then I splurged some of it with my friend Winky at the carnival that came to town. And those were risky too.
Trust me, I look at those, I'm like, that guy is not the guy I want assembling the thing that keeps me 60 feet in the air.
These guys with no teeth and one arm shorter than the other, and he's like,
not the guy I want to be doing that for.
Yeah, but and then I got the mini bike, and I got it from the Pep Boys. It was a Cat, 2.5 horsepower, red, white, and blue, Evil Knievel. I got a white helmet, But they were illegal. They were illegal to ride on the street.
Yeah.
And so there was the additional risk.
Then you get pulled over, they're going to take it away.
Right. So I have a juvenile record that's sealed. But we loved dirt bikes. We loved the speed. It was all about speed. I mean, Hot Wheels, and we'd watch the races at Riverside.
Oh, yeah.
And, oh, man, it was just, I mean, remember the Chaparral 2G?
Oh, no, trust me. I used to go to Riverside all the time as a kid.
And just that need for speed. And,
yeah, no. It's partly the beauty of the artifact, right? When you look at something like a race car or a good motorcycle, it's beautifully designed to do a specific thing.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of sort of excess. There's not a lot there that's not about the purpose of the machine.
We're not Harley people.
Although there's Harleys that are relatively pure, and there's Harleys
the simple ones, but not electric glide.
Yeah, no, I'm not a big fan.
We're not going to talk
not
about
a gold wing guy, not an electric
guy.
Yeah, not that. But having said that, there's an interesting thing, which is there are people who can't conceive of the idea of riding a motorcycle.
Oh.
Because basically what happens is that you wind up looking at it and wondering, what's going to happen. And, hi, babe.
I'm going to go pick up our trays from Mary.
Okay.
So I got in '79. I got a brand new Suzuki GS 550.
Yep.
And of course, my project. This was the first one with Moto Mags. It was the first one before they did. And the first year, the 1980 models were spokes.
Right.
And this was the first one with
mag wheels.
Right. And so I was building a cafe racer. I got it from 3-Star Sports Cycles on La Cienega.
I remember those guys.
And I had the Mikuni carbs, and then I got a Yoshimoto pipe.
Exhaust, yeah.
Yeah, and then I got it tuned up. I got the short clip-on bars. Man, I would go up to I was dangerous. I was
you were a threat to
a threat and a menace.
And yet you managed to survive.
I did. I only had 2 accidents where I made myself unconscious. And one of them was I was up near Valencia, Magic Mountain, and I was on one of those 2-lane roads, and I'm coming around a curve, just beautiful, and this guy is on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah. And
oh my God, he didn't see me.
Yeah.
And so I had to go off into the dirt, and then I endoed, and then I was out for a minute, but then I'm like, man, that was not my fault.
No.
I was having a great day.
Right. I know.
But yeah, there's the risk.
But the environment presents crazy risks to you.
Yeah. And it makes you think, like, all these other people are not, the contempt you have for people in cars, especially the big boat Cadillacs and
no,
LTVs.
But again, it's a thing where, part of what's fun about it is for something that's a solitary activity, it's very, very social. There's a community of motorcyclists, and you fall into your little niche, the community, right?
Yeah, rice burners, man.
And then you have like the Christian motorcyclists and the Hispanic Harley riders and the white guy, and we all have our different things.
Right.
But the flip side of it is that, you wake up and you understand you have skin in the game every day. And one of the things I love about it is that education about having skin in the game.
About taking risks. It gives you confidence when you learn something on your own, like motorcycling. And I never read the book about Zen and all that stuff.
It's a great book.
And I never got my hands dirty so much. I've always been a software kind of person.
Right.
But I love management of the hardware. I like a machine that works. I appreciate the beauty of a machine that works. And I was such a Suzuki guy, man. My best friend had a KZ 550, and I'm like, man, your gear shifts are clunky, and your brakes fade, and it's just all twitchy.
Yeah.
But it was faster than mine.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, it's faster, but let's go up to the rock store.
But there's an interesting question about that, which goes to this whole question of sort of speed and racing and where we get this drive, and how it is that There's a great old ad in a sailing magazine. I wish I'd cut it out and kept it, but I never did. And it's a guy sailing his boat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, picture this guy sailing a boat,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a boat in the distance behind him. And it says, anytime two boats are in the water, they're racing, even if only one of them knows it.
Right. Yeah.
But it's one of these things where, you know, we have this thing of...
It's competitive.
It's not just competitive. It's like we want to go fast. We want to do this. We admire all this sort of stuff. And motorcycling scratches a lot of those itches.
Yeah, I think that's an evolutionary part of us. We appreciate speed.
But I also will say that there's a part of me that would really like to say, you know, if I was going to be the commander of the world, everyone should ride a motorcycle for a year before they drive a car.
Yeah, that'll put the fear of God into them.
Well, you're just way more alert.
You know, they have that in my daughter just went to Thailand.
Yeah.
So she's in Bangkok, and they have what they call tuk-tuks,
Sure.
little three-wheeled things,
Yeah.
and nobody respects traffic laws. They just somehow
There are no traffic laws.
they
as far as I know.
somehow do it,
Right.
and they've got the little mini motorcycles, you
Yeah.
know, 125 cc's, and cars are not so, you know, prevalent. But bicycles,
Yeah.
tuk-tuks, and motorcycles and mopeds, all over the place, and they're good. I mean,
Yeah.
they figure it out. They figure it out.
I've seen
we
videos.
cannot do that.
I will tell you that I've seen videos and it terrifies me.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary. But I think what's interesting that's changing now is the car sounds. I mean, there's something about a growling V8 with a flat crank that just does things to you.
Well,
And
but
it's just like a beast. It's
But there's
like,
certain machine sounds that people just sort of react to,
Yeah,
right? And it's
yeah.
sort of like you go to an air show, you know, and you listen to the planes, or you go to a car race. First time I ever went to a Formula One race when they had them in Long Beach.
Mhm.
You know, I show up early in the morning,
Right.
you know, and then I'm hearing them warming up some V12 engine. I'm like, oh my
And
god,
they're so loud.
that is so cool.
And
you know.
they're unbelievably loud.
But
And
So there's-
that's that feeling of power.
So going to the machine, going back to the motorcycles though, what I have like the combination of these three impulses, right? I have the combination of sort of the love of the machine, right? And the fact that you look at cars today, you open the hood and there's this flat sheet of plastic with the
Yeah.
brand of the car,
Yeah.
covering everything in it to
Right,
keep
right.
noise out.
Right.
There's no machine sense in most cars. Like we bought our car because it has an amazing engine and you get like this machine sense from the car.
Yeah.
It feels like a machine. It doesn't feel like this electric motor.
Right. Right.
And you know, and so there's this kind of love of the machine. There's this willingness to take risk and understanding and kind of embrace of risk,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which also means that you're committed to sort of not screwing up and that what you do matters every day. And when you tie those three things together, that to me kind of defines why I ride motorcycles and what I like about motorcycles.
Interesting. Well, you know, I've heard that electric motorcycles are coming along.
They're almost here. I mean, they're
And it is really a game changer because you have all the torque.
right.
And you don't realize how much time you spend thinking about
What
shifting
gear to come
gears
in.
and twisting the throttle and clutching and all that stuff.
No.
And when you take that away, you're gonna get not so much noise or anything,
Yeah.
but a really better motorcycle driving and maybe experience and higher speeds.
Well, it's going to be interesting because I think motorcycles are probably a better use case for electric vehicles than cars are. I've got less mass to cart around,
Right.
so I don't need as much battery to cart the vehicle around.
Mm-hmm.
I've got less volume to put the battery in is the limiting factor typically,
Right.
and you know, and the motor, you know, doesn't have as much work to do.
And 200 miles on a motorcycle is enough for it.
Yeah, most people are happy to take a break at 200 miles. So I think that, you know, electric motorcycles are going to be very, very, very interesting. And I'm kind of looking forward. I see at some point I'll wind up with one.
Have you seen the new bikes? The new like thick tired bikes that have electric motors?
Oh yeah, bicycles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bicycles. Those are
They
pretty
were all
interesting.
over New York when I was there last week.
I was at Ciclavia in Wilmington
Yeah.
and San Pedro a couple weeks ago, and they're really cool.
Yeah.
And guys are just tooling through there.
Yeah, no. I think that idea of like what I'm going to call like an enhanced mobility device, right? It's not a motorcycle. It's not a bicycle. It's an enhanced, you know, and it's the skateboards with motors. It's
but
the
they're
bicycles
cool.
with motors.
They're cool because, you know, we all thought the Segway was going to take over the world. Remember when that was
But there's no way you looked at the guy in a Segway and there's no way you didn't just laugh at them.
Right.
You didn't go mall cop.
Yeah.
Immediately. You know, I mean, you look at that and you go mall cop. You know, that's what it said to me when I saw them.
That's true. But
And
I think these new electric bicycles. I mean, I was in on Venice Boulevard at Cerviteca a couple weeks before that, and there's just a little gang.
Yeah.
And they have these little ones. You know, the little ones with the fat wheels.
Yeah.
There's like a hyped up moped.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are getting popular too.
Well, there's motorcycles like that. There's what's called the Grom.
Okay.
Which is a Honda, I think, and it's like 125 cc's. It's got like 12-inch wheels as opposed to 16 or 17, which is a normal motorcycle.
Right.
And all I know is that everybody I've ever seen riding one of those has the biggest grin on their face. Like, you know, they're having more fun on that little thing.
Yeah,
than...
it's gotta be powerful though. If I can't get away from traffic, I just don't feel safe. Any motorized two-wheel thing that can't really rip out at the line,
so I'm laughing.
Not safe.
I had this great cartoon. There's a comic strip in the San Francisco Chronicle in the 70s called Odd Bodkins.
Okay.
Which was a genuine hippie, like, you know, acid, you know, on and on, everything in the comic strip. And I was like, how is this in the newspaper? And he had his fascination with Nortons.
Okay.
And which always broke down. And he discovered ultimately that his Norton broke down because it was in love with a Triumph that was also in the shop all the time. And he's explaining to the bike that it'll never work because you're a Sagittarius. But there's this great panel, which I actually had a poster made of at some point I lost, which was this guy's riding along the freeway and he's talking to the motorcycle. He goes, the reason I ride a Norton is power. The guy looks and he goes, we live in California and our freeways are weird. It's important that you have enough power under you to get you out of trouble. Whereupon this giant bird comes down, swoops up the other guy and flies away with him.
That's great.
And I think we call it a day for motorcycles.